Weldability SIF's field service and sales engineer. I'm responsible for the service and testing of our welding machines, welding fume extraction machines, and the management of our ProtectoScan EDI air monitoring devices, informally known as EDI. So what I'm going to show you today is how to take the CSV data that you've downloaded from your EDI unit and import it into a much easier to read, more useful spreadsheet that you can provide to a HSE inspector should they ask for it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our template data spreadsheet. Now hopefully we will have sent you a copy of this when we initially set up the machine. If we haven't, don't worry, you can contact head office and we'll get one sent over to you. You'll also need to get your data into a folder that you know where it is, because we'll need that in a moment. And the other thing I do, just for sort of just in case purposes, is I've made a copy of this and called it backup. That's just so if we accidentally break this spreadsheet, corrupt it, someone wanders along and opens it up and accidentally changes something, we have got a backup that we can use. So we're just going to open up this initial data spreadsheet. If you do break it, don't worry, and you haven't got a backup, you can always contact us and ask us for another one. So this can look a little bit intimidating with the sheer quantity of tabs. We've got 52 tabs for each week of the year, 3 locked tabs, which all the data is sort of calculated and put into these separate ones, and the data input tab. Now this is the only tab that you will have to do anything with, and we've just got a couple of steps that we need to do, and then we can get cracking. So the first thing we want to do is click in cell A1, then we want to go to data, click from text/CSV, and we're going to go and find where we put our data. So my sample data is here, double click on that. Now you can see that this is a bit jumbled up, so we're going to want to change the delimiter to a semicolon, and you can see now that it's separated everything into its correct columns. Then instead of pressing load, we're going to click on the drop down box and press load to. Now the reason we clicked in cell A1 before we did this is so that when we check this existing worksheet checkbox, it automatically puts cell A1 in there for us. So just press OK, and then we'll close this tab over here, and you can see that it's filled everything in and it's combined the date and time for us for use later. The only other thing you'll have left to do is put in your company name. So I'll just put in template company limited. And that's done as far as what we need to do. Now what you'll see is all of that data has been propagated into the 52 weeks of the year. The one thing that I will mention is that the ProtectoScan EDI only keeps hold of data for 365 days, and then on the first day of the following year it will delete those 365 days of data and start from scratch. So if you do have one of these machines, you will need to download all of your data sort of on the last hour, or sort of on the 364th and a half day, to make sure you have your yearly data's worth. You can of course import your data once a week every week. You can download it weekly or monthly and slowly propagate more and more information on this sheet as you go along, or you can just do it all in one go at the end of the year. So what we can see on each of these sheets is just got the name of your company and the particular week of the year from when you started. On each of these sheets there is dust, noise, humidity and temperature sort of contamination levels, and you can see that each chart has a various maximum limits. So for dust there is a couple of different limits for breathable, inhalable and background, and then the green in every chart is what has been measured at your company. The only exception to this rule is temperature. Because there is no legal maximum limit of temperature in a workplace, there is however a minimum legal limit in offices and places like that of 13 degrees, so we've put that in there just in case it does affect you. Now you can actually see in a couple of instances that this particular company's data, every time it gets below a certain level, you can see that their thermostat kicks in to keep it above that minimum limit. So On the dust, we have max background, max breathable, and max inhalable. So if we just look at this first week's worth of data, the very first time it was turned on, they immediately went above the max inhalable levels. You'll also see that on this sheet that it is separated by dates and times. So in particular on this sheet, we can look at the 21st of February 2019 at 11 AM in the morning. We can see that this company peaked a bit, and then 2 hours later peaked even more and hit the max breathable limit. So what that company could then turn around and do is look at their calendar, look at who was on that day, look at what work processes were being run at that particular time, and look to see if perhaps they don't have any extraction for that particular process, or if they do, was it turned on, and who wasn't using it effectively. The other particularly useful thing about this is it's quite important as a company to find your background levels of contamination and what your baseline is, because you may find yourself hitting these peaks constantly and wondering why you can never bring it down, and it could be because your background dust levels are already quite high. So in this case, we can look at, say, the 24th of February at 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's say the company is shut at that point. We can then move up, and when we hover over this chart, it will give us a value of 0.15 milligrams of background dust. So if you as a company perhaps had a background level in the middle of the night of 1 or 2 milligrams in the air, you will perhaps see that the reason that you're constantly hitting your peaks is because your background levels are already extremely high, and perhaps you need to either invest in general ventilation to keep some fresh air circulation in the room, or some more fume extraction to ensure that the contaminants that are being produced are being taken away as they are produced. You'll also notice that the noise levels may spike at particular processes, and you'll see the humidity change throughout the seasons. Aside from showing you the way that the data is shown, you may find that you'll need to print this off for meetings, or perhaps for a HSE inspector, and that's the reason we've separated this off into individual tabs. So if you say your inspector wanted to know what your levels were for week 8 and you wanted a printed copy, you could just click on the week 8 tab, click anywhere in the sheet, and then go to File, Print, and what you want to select is Print Active Sheets. And you'll notice that on this preview it's just got week 8, which was the week we selected, and it will print over 2 sheets for that particular day. And again, if they specifically asked for week 12, click in week 12 somewhere on the spreadsheet, go to File, Print, again click on Only Active Sheets, and we've got week 12 and the 2 pages of contaminants there. So hopefully this has been particularly useful for anyone that's got a unit like this, or is looking to get their data into a more readable format. If you do have any questions, you are welcome to contact us direct. If you call or email the head office, they'll forward you on to me. If you do have any problems, you're welcome to send me your CSV data, and I can convert it for you. Or if you have broken your template, I can send you another copy of that. So we hope you found this guide useful, and you use our machines in the future.